Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, munimule wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, and please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Darshana Khiani. She's here to celebrate her beautiful picture book, I Am an American. Before we invite Darshana into the studio, we want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. We hope you all have lots of fun with your family and friends. Be safe. And if you're looking for additional fun to have, be sure to check out our website, readingwithyourkids.com. So much to do there. You can check out our blog, find out who our latest Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read is. Also, download our free Reading with Your Kids magazine. And if you're looking for something fun to do with your kids, be sure to check out our Drawing with Your Kids videos. You and your kids can learn how to draw from some of the most amazing illustrators in children's literature. And of course, if you're an author, please be sure to click the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page to discover how we can help you celebrate your book to tens of thousands of children's book fans all around the world. Join us right now from the beautiful state of California. Our guest is here today to celebrate a really important picture book. It's called I Am an American. Please welcome to the show, Darshana Khiani. Hey, Darshana, how are you?
Hi, thank you, Jed. I am so excited to be here today and to discuss this book with you.
I'm excited to have you on, too, because I think we're in a very important and exciting, but also kind of a scary time here in our nation. Because I don't know, I mean, I'm almost 100 years old. I don't remember a time when we seem to be more divided and seem to kind of be unable to have a conversation where people don't agree 100% with each other.
I would agree with you 100% there. I am kind of surprised at where we are. This is not what I remember growing up in this country. But, you know, I have hope. I have hope that people see this and that people want to make it better. And it's going to take a lot of work. And what I've been telling people as I talk about this book is I'm hoping this book helps get conversations started. Because we may have politicians who are on either spectrum and pulling things on either spectrum, but it's we, the people, are the ones who elected them. And we, the people, are the ones who can change this. But it's going to have to start from the ground up. And it's probably going to take work at what I would think is the person-to-person level. Uh-huh. So that's why I'm hoping where these conversations start is we start looking for our common ground and our common shared humanity.
You know, if this were a political podcast, I would start by saying, you know, you're right. The politicians have forgotten that they work for us. But this isn't a political conversation, it's a podcast. So why don't you start when you say I am an American, what does that mean for you?
What that means is there are things that this country stands for and represents. And I'm thinking of the good qualities, the things that are working. And that I share in those beliefs, and hence that makes me an American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting. My beautiful wife and I both read I Am American, and one of the things, and I hope you don't find this offensive, it's a beautiful book. The illustrations are wonderful. There's lots and lots of information. I don't think this is a book that I would read to my kids when they were going to bed. I don't think this is a bedtime story.
Not a bedtime story. This is, first of all, it's a story for older elementary readers, right? It's for, in my mind, third grade and up, but it can go, I've talked to like a whole middle school, about the book, it can even go into high school. It can go into the, for parents, right? Because there's a lot of information in there. And I've had so many adults tell me like, oh, I didn't know that. That's new to me. So in my mind, it's for ages 8 and up. And, I see this, being used in classrooms and libraries as adjacent to the curriculum. And at home, the way I see this is, it's a way for parents to start talking about their own stories or their own family stories. Cause a lot of times, fine, if you come here, as an immigrant, you'll probably know why your parents came. But let's say your parents came in their 20s or 30s. You may not know why they came. Or let's say you're a third generation or a fourth generation. That information gets lost. And I think one of the things I want people to do is or that I hope happens, is they dig into their own family stories and to see what it is that brought them there. And then hopefully see that, hey, our reasons aren't so different. Like the reasons people came 200 years ago or 100 years ago really aren't any different than the reasons people come in this century.
I think that's really important. I didn't have a chance to really get to know my maternal grandfather. He passed away when I was 2. I obviously knew him, spent lots of time on his lap, and all the pictures that I have of him and me together are of me on his lap and me with a big smile. So I have this beautiful, really warm memory of him. And he did immigrate here from Ireland. The one kind of quote that I know from him, is because it was repeated, was when people would ask him, when my mom and her siblings would ask him about Ireland and about why aren't we doing this Irish thing, why he would say to them, I came here to be an American. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to be Irish, I'd stay back in Ireland. And it's not to say that he didn't embrace his Irish culture, but it's like he made the choice to come here for a better life, and he wanted his kids to be American. And I'm happy that I have that, because no matter what problems we may face as a nation, I know that I know for certain that at least one of my ancestors came here because of the promise of America. And I have a feeling the rest of them did too. And I think it'd be really wonderful if we all had that opportunity to kind of go back into time, or to read a journal, or to hear some oral history of why our different grandparents or great-grandparents came here.
Yeah, I that would be wonderful. And I mean, but it's in history, and it's either you have the memorabilia and the stories passed down, or you're able to do the research, right? There's a lot of cool things I've been learning from the local libraries where they're doing how do you do genealogy research, which is kind of cool. My challenge is that my family is from India, and so that's just another whole different thing. How do you figure that out?
Yep. India, the land of 28 official languages and about 2,800 non-official languages.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me about I Am an American, and I think it's good, is that this isn't a rah-rah USA kind of book. It's kind of peels away, and it's like, not everybody was treated great. There's some problems here. Yeah. What?
So I wanted the book to be informative. I mean, there were multiple things that I was trying to do with this book. I was trying to, pull people in. So give them stories that they're familiar with, things that they've maybe learned in school. So, certainly the Irish potato famine. They've heard of the Transcontinental Railroad. But then I also wanted to give them things, or the Trail of Tears, right? Everyone learns about the Trail of Tears. But I also wanted to put it in a different lens as well and give them something new. So on the stories that they knew, I wanted to give them the thing of, oh, have you heard of tribal nations? Have you heard of that concept? Because that was actually new to me. I didn't know that until about 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked. I was like, whoa, how did I not know this, right? And, or the fact that you had the Chinese people who immigrated, and the fact that they built the Western, along with the Irish, built the Western half of the Transcontinental Railroad, which was huge. It was so challenging and dangerous. Yet these people weren't allowed to become citizens. Okay, that seems weird. But at the same time, I also, so I wanted to show the challenges, but also that it wasn't in the past, that there are still challenges that we need to work towards. So like equality. But I also wanted to have happy moments too. Mm-hmm. So, the thing about unity, pursuit of happiness, like the unity spread, which features a biracial girl, like that girl, I know. She's my younger daughter's best friend from elementary school. Mm-hmm. And the festival is from my past, where I grew up in Pennsylvania, and we used to have every year an annual county folk festival, which I loved. So I also wanted to highlight, so it's a mix of everything, right? It's the past, the present, it's known stories, unknown stories, and the things we've done good, like the Pride Parade and the advancements we've made there. There's still work to do, but it's a smorgasbord.
Yeah. I'm curious. I want to ask, we had an author on, just a couple of weeks ago who shared with us that in her story, it's about a lovable dog named Lucy. And it's just a cute little kid's picture, it's a cute picture book, for kids, a great bedtime story. And it features one spread in the book where this dog is going through the neighborhood, and you see the street and all the different neighbors. And, they were sharing with me that there is one neighbor. So the picture on the page is maybe a half an inch big, and it's two men standing in front of the house, and there is a rainbow on their mailbox, and that got their book banned in certain parts of the country, and that's it. That's all it was. And I'm wondering, because your book, they're very right on the front cover, there's and you can't miss it. Right in the center, there is a character with a rainbow heart on, surrounded by rainbow flags. Has this been an issue that you've run into with the book?
Thankfully, not yet.
Okay, great.
I wouldn't be surprised, but knock on wood, nothing yet. But I mean, the book's only been out, but a little over a month or month and a half. So
there's still time.
There's still time.
Well, as we're looking at this book, I think it's perfect. And one of the things that I would suggest to families that are reading the book with their older kids, or teachers that are taking it on their classroom, this isn't a one and done thing. It's a perfect book to set up, because it's kind of like each spread is a different ethnic group. And I think there's certainly a lot of information on the pages, but there's also, it's a great opportunity to dig deeper.
Yeah.
And to find out, you mentioned the potato famine. Something I didn't understand is, I always heard about the potato famine, but I didn't realize until about 8 years ago that there was still lots and lots of food being grown in Ireland. There was enough food to feed everybody, except it was all being shipped somewhere else. And so what was left over was rotten, and that's why the people were starving. Those are, I think, really important things to kind of dig deeper into and to have discussions about. And that's what I would suggest. That's how I would suggest families in classrooms use it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I'd also like to put a little caveat because, and which I do in the foreword, which is that what's in this book is just a sample of ethnicities, right? It doesn't cover everything. And it's also only a single story. And you can never know a group of people or even a person by a single story. Like what I didn't realize about the Ireland thing until I was researching is that it was their livelihood, that growing potatoes meant you couldn't pay the rent. Like that was something I didn't know, right? That correlation connection wasn't made, or the fact that this afflicted Western Ireland, and that it wasn't necessarily throughout the rest of the country, which was interesting. But yeah, I agree that it's a springboard to go off in many different directions and many how each family chooses to do so and to dig deeper into it. It's meant to just get things started, get the ball rolling, and, you know, people follow their curiosity and their interest of which way they want to take it.
Yeah. And what I love most about the book is that despite this problem, despite this injustice that happened in the past, despite this thing that's still going on today, at the end of the day, at the end of the book, we're all still celebrating the fact that we're American.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what I kind of wanted to show, is that we all have our unique stories of how we got here and the challenges we face or the successes we might have had. But there is a commonality of the things that we believe in. Otherwise, our ancestors wouldn't have come to this country. And I think that's what people need to remember sometime, especially with people that are new and coming. They have their own set of circumstances. And I think it's just really easy when you've been here a long time to forget what it was like for those people when they first came.
Yeah. Darshana, I've shared this on the podcast in the past. One of the reasons I love doing a podcast is because I loved listening to talk radio when I was growing up. And when I had that transistor radio, that little square thing underneath my pillow that I would hide from my parents, I would listen to this overnight guy here in Boston. His name was Larry Glick. And he was the guy who would interview the people who were abducted by aliens and probed and all that other kind of crazy stuff. And it was such a fascinating show. But he had a very a unique thing that he would do when people would call up and they would say, Larry, I'm Italian. Larry, I'm Indian. Larry, I'm... He would always stop them. And he would say, no. You are an American of Italian descent, American of Irish descent, American of whatever descent. And I love the fact that I think that that's kind of, you know, I think if Larry were around today, he would look at your book and go, yes, I'm an American and I have this past. But first and foremost, I'm an American.
That's interesting. I mean, to me, that kind of feeds into the older idea of assimilation, of the melting pot and where you're kind of shedding, or not shedding, but your heritage comes second. And I don't know, it's interesting because I think some of the challenges in this country is that while I think it is easier for people of, you know, a certain skin color to be able to do that, other people can't do that, right? People will always look at me and know that my heritage comes from another part of the world, right? And so to some extent, I consider myself American, but I can't hide that I'm a different American, right? And so I think one of the themes that was going through this book when we did it was the idea of a quilt, that America is a quilt, which is a little bit different, which is where I can say I'm Indian American, right? Or the girl in the book, right? She said, the Native American, she says, I am Muskogee. And then she says, I'm an American, because Muskogee is a nation which is way older than the United States, right? It's thousands of years old. And so I think there's different ways of I tell people, like, you identify your, my kids, when people say, I might say I'm Indian American, right? I think in my bio, that's what I've written. My kids will say, when I did this informal survey years ago before I started this book, I asked my kids and various other people's kids, and some of them said, I'm an American, right? Even though their heritage, they were Chinese American or Filipino or something. So I think it's best to let people to self-identify how they are, whether it's just American or whether it's a hyphenated name. And yes, we are all American, which is, or we're a hyphenated American, whatever you want to call it. But I think this country is what it is because we've brought some of our, a little bit of our past and our families and ethnicities with us.
Mm-hmm. You know, the wonderful thing about this country is that we can have slightly different perspectives on things and still be buddies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to know where we can go to find out more about you and find out more about I Am an American. So,
best place is my website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just DARSHANAKHIANI. And on there you can find a book page for I'm an American. And for the families and teachers and educators, there are links to an educator's guide, a cool origami think pair exercise, or it's a think pair, fold and share exercise, where you create a fortune teller out of origami, and that ties into the book. And it's it's a game where two people can get to know more about each other and what they have in common. And for the younger kids, there is some printable worksheets.
Awesome. I need to get that origami thing because that sounds like a lot of fun to play.
Oh, well, your listeners can't see it, but you can.
Yes.
So what it is there's 3 layers to the fortune teller. The first one is identity. The second one is beliefs, and the third one is actions. And the idea is that you do this with another person and you say, okay, which of these identities do you share with me or would you like to know more about, right? The other person would ask, and then you can tell them something about yourself. And then you do that again with the beliefs, and then you see what actions support the beliefs.
Wonderful. Well, I Am American is a great way to start some great conversations in a classroom, within a family. It's a great way to spur kids, to ignite their curiosity, to get them to learn more about themselves and about each other. And I am super happy that you wrote the book and super happy that you were with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was really good. This was really fun.
Our guest has been Darshana Khiani, and she is the author of I Am an American. Hey, Darshana, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Georgianne Irvine from San Diego Zoo. She'll be here to celebrate her beautiful series of children's books. The books are really magnificent. You don't want to miss this conversation. The conversation is pretty magnificent, too. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Darshana Khiani. Please be sure to check out I Am an American. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Ann O'Leary, Soji Franklin, Monica Rivera, Sosa, Madison Dieris. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.